The Calgary Flames are the petty ex that lingers and orbits until they no longer care about you.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm so happy to be here with you today, and thanks so much for tuning in. As always, thank you for making Locked On Flames your first listen of the day. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Today, we are going to talk about the Calgary Flames refusing to relinquish control to Brad Treliving, and then we're going to talk more about what you might want in a coach and a general manager, because those are important aspects as the Flames continue to narrow down their search and the hiring process. But let's dive right into it. Brad Treliving is gone. The team announced late last month that they mutually parted ways. And while his contract is technically not up until June 30th, he, is technically still under contract by the Flames. And he even said himself, he needed some time to kind of get his mind right before jumping back into hockey. But it came out today that the Flames refused to give the Penguins permission, to grant them permission to interview Brad Treliving. Now, normally this would make sense. My general manager is still under contract until June 30th. I deserve, and reserve the right to say no, but he's not coming back. It has been made clear and official in every way that Brad Treliving will not put pen to paper to make June 30th wait a few more years. So this is just a level of pettiness, and it shows that they want control, right? They want to have control over every little thing. And it shows that this pettiness goes beyond Daryl Sutter. It wasn't just the ground level. It's clearly at the higher ups, because if you're not allowing your former general manager to interview and to move on after basically wishing him nothing but the best, something's not right there. And Treliving, we don't know if he would have, accepted the invite or anything, but it puts him in a bind where he might lose out and miss out on an opportunity because the Flames decided to hold this thing hostage. And at some point, you have to just move on, right? You have to move on. We've all been there when you're just trying to get over someone, or you're just trying to get someone out of your life, and you just need to put their stuff in a box and leave it out with a nice little note saying, "See you never." Just move on, let it go, and be at peace. And that is what the Flames need to do with Brad Treliving, because not that Treliving was bad by any means. It wasn't like there was, we don't know, but it doesn't appear that there was animosity or anything super hostile, I guess I would say, that made the dynamic super uncomfortable. And it would make sense why the Flames would want to kind of, hold this hostage. But again, I think this speaks to the dynamics of the team and how I don't know. It's how petty they are, because this is just so silly and so shallow to do. And I saw someone say, oh, enough of this. They know all our secrets. Nonsense, because it's true. I'm sorry, but I don't think Brad Treliving is going to run to Pittsburgh or anywhere else and start confessing all of these secrets that were going on in Calgary, or what his plans were, what things might look like on their draft floor and things like that. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's that big of a deal if tree living is requested by other organizations. I think more organizations, if they haven't already requested to speak with him, will now wait or miss out on the opportunity because of the Flames. And you know does this really impact Tree Living's employment? Does he want to take the year off? If someone wants Tree bad enough, they will wait, but not if they need a coach as well, because you're not getting a coach without your general manager, and you better hope that these general managers and coaches are still around come July 1st, right? But coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit more about this late stage Calgary Flames general manager run and who could possibly be getting this job. But before we do that, I do want to talk to you about Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens are a delicious product that I use quite literally every day. Just one scoop in a cup of water every day to start your day with 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. It's great for your memory, for your skin, for your gut health, and so much more. So much more. So, one of the great things about Athletic Greens is that it is lifestyle friendly, so gluten-free, paleo, keto, dairy-free, vegan, gluten-free, you name it, it's there. You're pretty safe with the Athletic Greens, and it supports better sleep quality and recovery, which means it supports mental clarity and alertness. And it's one of the best things, because for me, I am someone whose sleep schedule is all over the place, and I just want to be rested, and Athletic Greens provides that for me. So right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JustBelMosto. So today, along with the Flames holding Brad Treliving's contract hostage, Pierre LeBrun reported that the Flames are pretty late in their search, and that it's looking like they're narrowing down their candidates, and they might have and like what they see, and they might have their general manager on their hands, which is great because you're still, a little over a month away from the draft. So you have time to kind of get situated there. Go look at your paperwork, go through the situation room, figure out, who's thinking what are we going for here, and of course, name your coach, right? I think that this means Eric Tulskey is not a candidate on their list, simply because he is still in the playoffs with the Hurricanes, and I don't believe that that interview is going to happen when you are actively in the playoffs here, right? And Kyle Dubas did have an emotional and very honest, vulnerable press conference after the Leafs elimination, saying, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I need to talk with my family. I want to be a general manager here, and that's it. Here being Toronto. So, I respect it. I respect anyone that's going to openly say, I need to pump the brakes. I can't get too ahead of myself. there's a lot more that goes into these decision makings, especially, as these guys get older, uh, and become parents and become, part of a family sort of thing. So, it is a lot bigger than hockey. And again, I respect it. Just like with Brad Treliving, who was like, I just need to get my mind right. Same thing with Paul Maurice when he left Winnipeg and was like, yeah, my heart's just not in it anymore. I can't fix it. And now he's coasting in the Eastern Conference Finals, which is pretty neat, right? But does this mean they're more likely to hire someone from inside? Because, obviously you can talk to your own internal candidates whenever you want. You don't need anyone's permission for that. And, I think Craig Conroy being out and about in the community, I believe it was last week or the week before, might bode well for him. I don't know if he typically attends events, but, looked like he was out there doing some fan service, so you never know. And skipping over him speaks to their loyalty. It kind of calls back to not letting Treliving talk to the Penguins, or the Penguins talk to Treliving, right? Simply because it's, they still have him in their back pocket. It's not about anything besides having that control. And I wonder if they don't want to go with an internal candidate or someone that they're supposedly loyal to, because they saw how loyalty went with Daryl Sutter. They saw how quickly that bridge burnt itself. Now, I'm not saying it's just one person's responsibility here or one person's at fault, but, you kind of have to take into consideration everything ownership did to keep him while Brad Treliving was like, we need to fire him. So, it's good to see that they have a sense of loyalty, but at the same time, you need to know when to put those relationships aside. Conroy has been with the organization for years. I think that he would be a good candidate. He knows the team. He knows the logistics of the team, the way the dynamics work. Again, that word keeps coming up, dynamic. He knows where the chemistry is. He knows how everyone works too. So, you might approach Murray Williams with situation one way, might not work. But he's seen other guys do it a different way and achieve success. So maybe you go, a different roundabout way, right? It is very interesting to see who they name. Again, I don't think that they're interviewing anyone from the remaining teams, obviously, and I really don't think they're interviewing Jason Botterill from Seattle, because at this point, Seattle was just eliminated not even 24 hours ago, and I don't think that you can just bump a candidate to one of the final rounds after only speaking to them once. And this, again, comes back to naming a coach, because we have talked numerous times. Nick and I have gone into depth, into detail about how you need a coach and a general manager who are philosophically aligned, are on the same page, and working to move the team forward. However far forward is up to you. But as long as you are making progress and not staying stagnant or regressing, you are in good hands. And I really think that the Flames need to hammer that home for the general manager and say, listen, we're bringing you in because we like X, Y, and Z about you. Why do you want to bring in a Joe Schmo when he doesn't realistically align? And you can't just change people, right? You can't just mold people to fit your life and how you want things to work, right? So does it make sense waiting a teeny bit longer in case Carolina does get eliminated? I don't know. The Florida Panthers are just on a tear. They can't slow down. So I don't know. Is it worth waiting a little bit to see if even Eric Tulskey wants to interview with you? That's the other thing. Maybe they know things that we don't, and they probably do because that's usually how this thing goes. But I do appreciate little tidbits coming out as long as it. Stan Bowman is not going to be the general manager of this team. I think that, again, Nick and I talked about that last week. There's too much work that supposedly needs to be done. That supposedly needs to get done or has been done. And I'll believe it when I see it. Guys like that don't change overnight. They're old dogs, can't learn new tricks when it comes to more morality and things like that. So I would be shocked if we see him back in a front office this season. But coming up next, we are going to talk about the more in depth of what you want to see when a coach is named or when a general manager is named. But before we do that, let me tell you about our friends at Game Time. Ticket buying should not be stressful. You should not feel like you are going to war with a queue, with things in your cart. You should just be able to buy tickets easily and just one quick trip to the app store, right? And Game Time allows that to happen. And they offer you flash deals and last minute tickets for your events and whatever you're interested in your community. They have the lowest price guaranteed and event cancellation protection. And it is wonderful because everything you need is right there on the app. And Game Time, again, just offers you the killer last minute deals on tickets with their best price guarantee, and you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you will have. This weekend, I'm going to Taylor Swift. I'm hoping to somehow get my hands on night 2 tickets, and I'll tell you how you can do that. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And thank you, everyone. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts and, of course, on YouTube. And I would love to hear from you in the comment section of our videos. For me, you can't just build a coach, right? You don't get to say, oh, I want the mind of this one. I want the analytical mind of that one and the power play genius and this. Like, it unfortunately doesn't work like that. This isn't Build-A-Bear. But realistically, you should be talking to your players too. I think it would be fair to kind of gauge their feelings on things, considering how last season went, and you didn't give a flying hoot if things were not good. You just said that man is getting paid $4 million, and we're going to make sure he stays regardless of how our players feel or our general manager or what our record looks like. So the Flames organization owes it to the players to have some say in this, because this isn't like free agency where players are like, hey, I see this guy going here, I should follow. Or, oh, I would really like to reach out to my good friend and persuade him to come here. You can't do that. I don't think you can do that with coaches. I think it's a little bit more difficult because this is, a coach we're talking about here. So it does get a little bit heavier, a few more hands need to be in the pot there. But for me, I want to see these players consulted. They deserve it. You shouldn't have to consult your players. You should have taken such good notes in your exit interviews that you know what they do and don't like about the coaches that they've worked with. Or with Sutter specifically, did he do something a certain way that they did like, and they want to see more of that because they felt like it was successful? Or, do we want someone with an approach that is, maybe a little bit more, yes, we're going to just take it game by game, but also we need to think about the bigger picture here as well. And that doesn't even get into like the nitty gritty and the analytics and the stuff, the product on the ice, right? You don't want to bring someone in just to fill this role. I feel like we have seen that time and time again, and specifically with Jeff Ward. Okay. They did not interview anyone else this season that he was named head coach. After Bill Peters was fired, he took over as assistant head coach, or as interim head coach rather, and fell into this role while there were other coaches available to be interviewed, like Gallant, right? So you really do have to sit here and wonder who's making these decisions, who's calling these shots, and who is on their radar. And I'm tired, very tired of people calling Jonathan Huberdeau a coach killer. I think that is just a ridiculous statement. I think anyone that's been in the league a long time is going to go through coaches. That's just the natural progression of a career. Just because Patrice Bergeron's had like 4 coaches, does that mean he's a coach killer too? But what about Michael Backlund, right? If anyone should be called a coach killer, it's someone that's been with the Flames organization for as long as they have. But it's not true because he's not a coach killer. But they need someone that is going to focus on the product on the ice, getting players to where they need to be physically, what they're producing, working on their strong points, and tweaking out those weaknesses, but then also bringing up the kids from the AHL. Now, I don't think it is unrealistic to see players from the AHL move on up to the Flames roster this year. I think there's a little bit more room for roster spots than there was, at the start of camp last year. But I want to see these players brought up and given a real chance. Matthew Phillips did not get a real chance. We have been over this. He is getting he's just in the doghouse for whatever reason. He deserves a true chance, not just sitting up in the press box, quote unquote, emulating someone on the roster on the team. You need to just put him on the ice and use him to his ability, to his fullest potential, because we know it's there. We know it is there. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's episode of Locked on Flames. As always, you can catch Locked on Flames wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube as well. Tomorrow, Nick will be back, and we are going to talk more about this general manager coach search, and if some news breaks, we might have something good for you. So make sure you're subscribed, following Locked on Flames wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.